My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Ice Sheet. This is episode number 3 of our Rimworld Ideology playthrough, and we've started with a single tribal colonist. They started with nothing, no clothing, except a recurve bow, and they've started in one of the most inhospitable ice sheets, let's try that again, one of the most inhospitable biomes, I should say, on the Rimworld, the Ice Sheet. Now, if you're new to the series, we've just made a start, as you can see here. We've started a few research projects. We've got a small stockpile zone set up and a start of a little base as well. We also realised in our last episode that what we can do is when the insects are sleeping or hibernating, we are free and safe to run into their hives to steal the insect jelly that gets produced from time to time. So we do have a supply of food available. As you can see in our base, in terms of our own food supplies, there is 6 units of insect jelly, which Cobra is now about to eat. And we also have 38 units of human meat from a colonist who joined us, who we then prompted to murder. The reason we did dispatch the colonist is because there was a high chance that they were going to betray us. It was one of those random people who join and offer their assistance, and they often do tend to turn against you, so we took the upper hand and killed them first, but not before removing all their clothing, so we could use it ourselves. And their clothing, combined with our own, means we have a cold protection of only negative 19 degrees. We have passed into the autumn month, season, quandrum, whatever you want to call it. So the temperatures are going to start dropping quite considerably. As we can see here in this alert for need warm clothes, the temperature outside is soon going to reach negative 52, so that's something we need to be mindful of when we're out on the ice sheet performing our daily tasks. While we're inside, however, we do have the steam guys, which is keeping us relatively warm and comfortable, so inside temperatures aren't a concern for Cobra. But yes, venturing outside is something we have to do few and far between, or at least you have to micromanage it somewhat, especially when the temperatures do start to drop to anything below around about minus 25, which they're starting to do now. So as you can see, Cobra's heading off to sleep now, so we'll pick it back up in the next morning. Although overnight we've got a freak localized flash storm, and that's causing some fires. However, given the lack of vegetation on this map, the fires aren't a real problem, so we'll let this flash storm I should say, pass over, and we'll not even pay it any attention. It's not going to cause us any disruption at all. Okay, so we're awake on the next morning. We're going back to the research bench here. We've almost completed basic furniture, which is nice. 50 more research points or thereabouts. And Cobra's intellectual skill is now almost 6. Considering that started at 0, that's gone up really well, but it is a 2-star passion for Cobra. So his progress in the learning is accelerated, as you can see on the tooltip. He does learn at 150% the normal speed, so that's nice. While he is researching, I'm just having a little quick look over the map. Just want to make sure there's nothing wandering on, and there isn't. Obviously we can also check down here. As we can see, the only wildlife on our map at the moment are the insects. We don't want to bother them during the daytime because they will absolutely destroy us, so we'll leave them be. But overnight, as I made mention to at the start of the episode and in episode number 2, we can sneak in ninja style and grab their jelly. Right then, so the furniture research has been completed. That allows us to build a simple bed, which is great, because that's going to be a major step up from sleeping on the floor, which is what Cobra has to do at the moment. Now, if you missed it, I've also gone ahead and tweaked the research tech rules, so any tech that is above our current tech level, which is currently Neolithic, is a lot more expensive for us to research, so we can't beeline electricity, or we can, we can, but it will take a while. So instead we're going to have to focus on some of the lower level techs. And I think next, we could get one of these, and then get an artist bench up and running and start doing some carvings and some statues. As we improve our skill in that, they are going to help boost our mood. And in fact, that's probably not a bad idea, is it? So let's go for pottery. Should we go for pottery? Sure, why not? We'll go for pottery. So pottery is our next research task. Obviously, it's not something that's going to keep us alive that much longer, but if it keeps us from having a mental break, if we can get a decent bit of sculpture put together, put it in our room to give us a mental boost, then it's going to help us in that respect. One thing we can construct now, as I mentioned, is a simple bed, and I believe it's in extra furniture. Here it is, look, and that costs 40 units of steel. We have more than enough for that, so let's go ahead and we'll queue up the construction of a simple bed, and then Cobra no longer has to sleep on the floor, so we'll not have that negative mood modifier. That's currently affecting him by -4, so that will soon be taken care of. So that's going to help with the whole mental break situation. In fact, we'll prioritise constructing the bed. We don't really need to concern ourselves with the fishing too much, because as I said, we can just go and grab their jelly when we need to. Let's take a quick human meat meal here. That'll give us, in fact no, it won't give us a mood boost because we don't have the cannibal trait, and we don't have the cannibalism meme as part of our religion, although we do have it set to acceptable as one of the precepts. So while we don't suffer any negative thoughts from the cannibalism, we also don't get an advantage from it. So back off to sleep then. Are all the insects asleep? Indeed they are. So I believe it's time to go on a food run. So what we'll do, we'll focus on these 3 piles of insect jelly. They're all relatively close together, and that's going to give us enough for a couple of days worth of food. So let's prioritise hauling that. It is going to obviously disturb Cobra from his sleep, but this is the only time we can safely and hopefully successfully accomplish this little task. Okay, so we've managed to grab all the jelly there. In fact, while we are in the cave, we may as well go and grab the other stacks down here. There we go. Now we'll head back to our base and we'll have a good night's sleep. I say that, it's 4 in the morning, and we currently have a major break risk, which is not good at all. So I think we will allow Cobra an insect jelly snack, which he's prompted himself to do anyway, so that's okay. That's going to give us a nice recreation boost as well. It's filled our food meter. Oh well, just about filled it. So that's going to help our overall mood. So we'll head off to sleep now. I imagine we're going to sleep for most of the day at this point, but that's okay. Still nothing new on the map to concern ourselves with at this point, so there's no hunting expeditions in our imminent future. Okay, I think that's enough sleep. He's up to 90%, so we'll get back on with the research. The faster we can get this research done and our intellectual skill improved, then the better we're all going to be, because we can start unlocking some of the higher tier researchers that really do make a difference to your survival chances. So a mid-afternoon snack there of insect jelly. Our mood is now rising up to about 50% or so. Hopefully we can get rid of that ratty apparel soon. That would be classed as ratty because it's less than 50% hit points. As would that, and it would also give us a negative modifier from the tainted from being worn by a corpse thought, so we don't want to swap out our current clothing. Likewise, this skirt would have the double hit from that as it's tainted and sub 50% as well. Okay, since we are planning on making a few artistic additions to our little base, it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and top up our steel stockpiles, because we'll need steel for the artist's bench. And if we wanted to construct the sculptures and the pieces out of stone chunks, or stone bricks, I should correctly say, we are going to need to work the chunks into bricks via a stone cutting table. I believe both of them, off the top of my head, cost about 100 units of steel each, so we definitely need to increase our stockpile so we can focus on that today. We will allow ourselves a quick game of hoopstone. That's helping fill our recreation bar very rapidly, which is overall going to improve our mood. Now we've done that, let's go ahead and we'll order up 5 units of steel to be mined away. As with the intellectual skill, mining is a burning passion for Cobra. So he does advance through the levels quicker than usual, and he also gets a mood boost from performing the tasks as well. Okay, so that's the 5 units mined up. We'll get them hauled back to the stockpile now. A quick wash is always important. With Dub's hygiene, having a wash frequently is important as it does reduce the risk of contracting food poisoning. And it also improves your mood as well. Okay, so that's now 3 full stacks of steel, which is going to be more than enough for the artist table and the stonecutter's bench. However, we don't really have much space for them in our current little shelter, so we want to expand this as well. So we'll queue up this wall for deconstruction. And we'll prioritise deconstructing this wall first of all. And then before we do anything else, let's queue up a blueprint to extend the size of our base out just a touch. We'll go for something like that. We don't need to fill in that corner there, so we'll cancel that little section of the wall. We'll get this built up. We should prioritise this as a matter of urgency, which we are. Okay, get the roof put in place as well, and there we go. So what we want to do now is go into our production tab. So the art bench is actually 125 steel, not 100. In total we have 133. So once again we can't afford both the table and the art bench, but we can get the stone cutter's table for now. And we also probably want to go ahead and put down a little stool so we can have that little boost to our comfort while we are working at the stonecutter's bench. Let's prioritise this construction, get it out of the way and done. I think overnight we're going to want to do another jelly run if there's any that's been produced. There's 23 units there, 28 there. Once those insects drop off to sleep, we shall run in and grab the jelly. For now it's a bit more research. What we'll also do is we'll start a bill and we'll focus primarily on marble blocks. We'll do this forever. What we'll also do is just adjust the radius. That way we're not going to be running halfway across the map to get the marble chunks to be worked. And what we'll also do is we'll just have the completed bricks dropped on the floor, and then we can haul them into the stockpile at the end once we've completed a little stone cutting. Okay, so if we're going to sleep, I imagine the insects won't be far off either. There they go. So let's allow access to that stockpile, as well as, where are they? Come on, clicking the wrong thing. There we go. As well as those stacks of jelly. And let's get these hauled over to our base. This is a good way to extend our rations in between wildlife deciding to visit us on the map. Okay, so we're also grabbing the other stacks as well, which is good. Still nothing new appearing on our map, that's no problem. So what we'll do before we head off to bed, we will have a bit of insect jelly for an evening meal, and then we'll allow Cobra an unbroken sleep. Let's go to sleep now. Everything else can wait until we wake up. I would say wait until the morning, but it's near enough morning now, as we can see. Okay, so we have the end quest, or one of the end quests available now, Ship to the Stars. This will give you the location of a spacefaring vessel on the world somewhere. If you can make your way there, get it started up and fend off a series of raids, you can then leave the Rimworld and complete the game. However, it tends to be at the far side of the map, so there's no chance of us getting there in our current condition. And also we wouldn't be able to fight off all the raids that get generated. So we'll ignore that for now, but we will keep it in mind for the future. So I think now we've had our breakfast, we'll go ahead, mine out some more steel, Another 5 blocks should be more than enough. And then we'll produce ourselves an artist's bench. And with the stone blocks that we're currently having produced from the chunks, we can start producing some artistic sculptures. The first couple are going to be poor quality, but eventually we'll start getting decent quality ones, which are going to give us a nice little mood boost. That's going to help with our overall mood, obviously, while we are in our base, and it's going to offset the risks of mental breaks. So far, we've had 2 mental breaks, I believe, and we've been very fortunate with them. Both of them have just been hide in room, which does mean Cobra hasn't been wandering around on the ice sheet, which even though he has some level of cold protection, he doesn't have enough to spend an extended amount of time wandering around exposed to the elements. And given that during that mental break you have no control of your colonist, it's very likely that if we were to suffer that sort of mental break, then we would freeze to death. So a small bite to eat and then off to sleep at a more reasonable hour. We'll not disturb Cobra for an insect jelly run today. We have enough to last, what do we have, 75 was it? Yes, we have 75, so that's enough to last us 2 to 3 days. And it gives these piles enough time to regenerate higher stacks as well. So the next thing we want to construct is the art bench. We'll pop that there. We have enough steel for this, as well as a stool for Cobra to sit on while he works. That's enough hoopstone. You're up to 84% on your recreation, so that's fine. So we have 60 marble blocks in stock. The smallest sculpture costs 50, so I think we'll make a start on this. We'll make ourselves a small sculpture. We'll clear all, and then we'll just set marble as the only allowed resource to use. That way we're not going to tap into our steel reserves to make ourselves some statues, which would be a waste. Now this is going to take us a while. Our artistic skill is low, and we have no flames of passion in artistry, so it's going to take a while. What do we have up here? We have a snow hare. Now we could go and hunt the snow hare. However, they don't provide the greatest amount of meat. They also don't produce the greatest amount of leather. And given the fact that we can quite easily raid the insect hives, I think we can just forgo the snow hare. Obviously, if a larger animal was to wander on, such as a seal or a walrus, then we would hunt that. But a snow hare, I would say it's arguably, given the fact we have insect jelly, not worth the effort. Okay, so we've almost finished this steel sculpture. Only 7 work left. Don't know how else to phrase that. 7 units of work left to go, I suppose. So that'll get finished tomorrow. It's probably not going to be the best quality, but it's a start. And we have advanced to level 1 in the artistic skill during our work on this initial sculpture. So insect jelly for breakfast once again. I think we'll take a moment before we start work and just clean the base up a little bit. There we go. We'll finish off the sculpture now, and let's see what sort of quality it is, shall we? It's actually normal quality, which is quite impressive considering our low skill. And it's got a beauty rating of 68. Let's have a look at the art description. These are always quite interesting. Tune by Bliss. This piece depicts a solitary barbarian seen through a looking glass near a lagoon. The work is shaded in hues of grey and orange. The lower part of the image is dominated by a yam. Very interesting piece of artwork there, Cobra. Let's install that next to our latrine, so we've got something to look at while we're taking care of business. We'll cut the stone chunks first, since we've already started that. Installing the artwork isn't make or break. And then we'll use the steel latrine, wash our hands, and there we go, we'll install our marble sculpture. So what's that done for the beauty rating of our room? Okay, so it's increased it to a positive number, 0.64. So that's going to give us a nice mood boost now while we're there. Let's just see, shall we? Decent dining room, decent bedroom, both +2. The +3 from the cleanliness is also great. So yes, while we're inside, we're having decent boosts to our mood. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll just do this bill forever, I think. The more artwork we can get put up, it is going to increase the wealth of our colony. So there is the danger of shooting ourselves in the foot in terms of the size of the raids that will start spawning on the map. However, I believe it's worth it, because even with the few items of artwork installed, our colony wealth isn't going to be too impressive, so we should still be dealing with tribal raiders armed with nothing but melee weapons. And I think it's worth it for the nice mood boost it's all going to provide for Cobra. What's not going to help our mood, however, is being ravenously hungry, so we'll take a bite to eat. Continue our work. In fact, we will interrupt that. We'll have a bit of dexterity play here, just to drag our recreation up a little, and by extension, hopefully our overall mood as well. And then we'll return to our artistic efforts at the bench. Still just a snow hare on the map, that's fine. Either tonight or tomorrow night we are going to have to make an insect jelly run. We have 19 units in the stockpile, but we also do have 17 units in our inventory. So we should have enough for tomorrow, but on the next evening we are going to want to go ahead and grab some more. There is more being spawned all the while, which is great. It might be a little bit cheesy to do this, but insect jelly was added into the game for a reason. It's not added there by a mod or anything, it is base game, and you can eat it base game, and its mood enhancing effects are part of the base game as well. So off to bed. As we can see, this sculpture was awful. It actually adds a -7 to the beauty rating of the room, so I don't think they'll bother installing that. That's going to hinder more than help our efforts to keep our mood as high as possible. How many stone blocks do we have left? We have 20. So we'll cut another chunk up. That'll produce us 20, I believe it produces per stone chunk. And then with the next lot of bricks, we should have enough for another sculpture. And hopefully this next sculpture will also get us plus above the level 2 artistic skill as well. Okay, there we go. Yes, that's produced 40 in total, as you can see, 10 plus the 30 here. Okay, it says we need the material, so let's haul the marble blocks, and then it should register the materials as being in stock. Perhaps not, perhaps I'm getting the amounts wrong here. Oh, it's 50 for the small sculpture. I thought it was 40. Okay, so one more stone chunk it is then. Snow hare still hasn't left the map. Quite interesting. I thought it would have disappeared by now. As we can see now, even the spellopedes have entered into, what's the official term? It's not hibernation, is it? Let's have a look. Hypothermic slowdown. So it's only the mega spiders still active, as we can see. I'm not sure if they enter hypothermic slowdown as well. If they did, that would be great, because it'd mean we could run in and grab the jelly at any time. Okay, so clearly we've finished that second stone chunk carving, as we've now moved on to creating another small sculpture. Like I said, if we can get to above level 2 on our artistic skill with this last sculpture, that's all the better. Okay, so we're off to bed. It's 11 o'clock on the Rimworld, now midnight, so everything should now be asleep. Indeed it is. Let's allow access to the jellies once again. Apologise, Cobra, we have to disturb you again because you're coming on another hauling trip out to get the jelly. In fact, we'll prioritise this one, then Cobra should automatically grab these 4 stacks here on his way out. Grab that as well while you're there. No point letting it go to waste. Okay, there we go. Another successful and safe trip into the caves there. We'll afford ourselves a bite to eat before heading off to sleep then, because we did need it. There we go, off to sleep now, please. We did disturb your overnight rest, and we don't want you to get too cranky. What time are it? We'll wait till 10 o'clock, there we go, and then we'll manually... We'll wake Cobra up now. Bit of hoopstone, and then back on with the artistic efforts. There's a very strong argument to say we should really be focusing on the research rather than doing some artistic sculptures, but we are where we are. Okay, so we've now got a critical alert for hypothermia, even though we're inside the base. That's why I set this to no longer hold the door open, because we don't need to regulate the temperature anymore. So we'll draft Cobra, send him outside and back in. That'll allow the door to shut, and that should help keep the temperatures from dropping too low inside of our little base. Of course, if they start to rise too high, however, we will have to open the door once again, because we don't want to start suffering from heat stroke on the ice sheet. That would be a cruel twist of irony, wouldn't it? Have your colonists die from heat stroke while it's negative 32 degrees outside. Okay, so it seems the temperature's stabilising around about 0 degrees as its peak, which is fine. We have reached level 2 in the artistic skill, as we can see there in the top left, so that's even better. Hopefully we'll have another decent quality sculpture here. As long as it provides a positive beauty rating, that's all I'm interested in. Let's see what we have here, shall we? Poor quality, but it is plus 34 in the beauty. Let's have a look at the artistic description. On this work is an illustration of Legua Cobra Ban Brinlan trudging through snow while his face slowly turns blue. The scene appears to take place inside a freezer. The work is shaded in hues of white and black. This depiction tells the story of Cobra getting hypothermia on the 10th of September, 5500. Well, that was today. That was this morning. Oh, that was before we told Cobra to shut the door. That was mid-sculpture, so clearly he'd started working on something and then overridden it and decided to create a nice image of himself getting hypothermia inside a freezer in black and white. Because why not? So we'll get that piece of artwork installed in the morning. And what we'll do, before we do that, we'll make a note of our beauty rating, 0.79. Oh, transport pod crash. A musical kid named Araya is crashing in a transport pod nearby. If she survives, she'll be badly wounded, and she is from our enemy. Whereabouts are you landing? Oh, very close. Perfect. Let's have a look at your injury, shall we, Raya? So you're bleeding out in 15 hours. You suffer from migraines. You have a crack in your right clavicle, a stab in the chest, a bruise on the chest, and a cracked rib cage. Well, I'm afraid to say you're going to have a lot worse than that in a moment. We'll strip her of her clothing, that way we can take it for ourselves if we need to. I mean, that would be good, if only just to get rid of the tattered clothes modifier that we currently suffer from. I highly doubt she's going to regain the ability to walk, but just to make sure we don't miss out on a free meal here, we'll now draft Cobra and take care of business. There we go, one hit is all it took. Allow access to the body, and then we'll haul her back to the stockpile. Come back for the clothing. Okay, so we're going to butcher the corpse first, okay. That's going to give us some more leathers and human meat. Okay, now let's prioritise getting these jeans and this t-shirt back over as well. These are muffalo wool jeans, which is nice. They should provide a nice cold insulation bonus. Let's see. What I tend not to do is instruct the colonists or force them to equip any of the clothing that we have available, unless absolutely necessary. Simply because if something better is produced or available, I think that the override function, so to speak, the fact I force them to wear the equivalent item of clothing prevents them from equipping the new item of clothing, if that makes sense. Anyway, we've installed the artwork as well. We did it this morning, and yes, that's boosted our our room beautification quite nicely. All that's going to help keep our mood up, which is great. What I will do, what protection is this giving here? So this gives, it adds an extra 13.8 degrees of cold insulation. The jeans are 9. The muffalo wool tunic is also 9. So combined them two together, that makes 18. That outstrips the 13 degrees offered here by, well, that's almost 14 degrees. So we could add an extra 4 degrees of protection to our minimum cold, comfortable temperature. Since Cobra doesn't seem to be opting to equip these two items voluntarily, what I might try doing is telling him to discard the pinniped leather tribal wear, and then he should, there we go, he's now opting to equip the new clothing. As we can see, that's pushed it down to -20, so it's increased it a little, not a great deal however. I think at this point we have a decent amount of artistic value to our little room, so we'll suspend the production of any further sculptures, and instead we'll refocus on research once again. As we can see, the snow hare does appear to have left the map. Nothing new has replaced it yet, and we've hit level 7 intellectual skill. Very nice. Okay, so he's about to go for rest. I think first we'll have a quick meal. Do a little bit of cleaning up. And as you can see, now that we've allowed him to wear the tribal wear once again, he has opted to replace these two items for the tribal wear. I guess that may be down to the quality level of the tribal wear in terms of its hit points. As we can see, it's 92%. These are both sub 50, so in fact the wool t-shirt is 66%. So it could be the fact that these are dragging his mood down because of their tattered nature, that he's opted instead to stick to the tribal wear. That's fine. It wasn't making that much difference in our cold protection. Let's also suspend production of the marble blocks, shall we? I'd like to get some research done. The more we get done, the higher our intellectual skill rises, and then the faster we can do future research, so it's got that nice snowball effect. Is there anything we could craft in terms of clothing with the 45 units of human leather that we have available? Let's see here. We could make a veil if we so wished. We could also make a tribal poncho, which is going to help us with our cold insulation. And in fact, yes, I think we'll queue up the production of a tribal poncho. And we'll prioritise that production as well. The sooner we can mitigate the cold temperatures, the better. Because they are affecting our mood, because every now and then we get that chilly negative modifier. Right now it's fine, because we've got the doors closed. But outside it is a problem. Okay, there we go. So that's the poncho equipped. What's that done for us? -25. That's better. We're getting there ever so slowly. Apparently this classes as listening to the radio. Not sure how, but we'll roll with it anyway. Do a bit more research. And we'll let him research till about 11 o'clock. And then we'll send Cobra off to bed. Yeah, he's going back to the research anyway, that's fine. I thought he might have headed off to sleep there after washing his hands, but he did not. How fast is our research bar filling now? This is on times 3 speed in the background. Oh, that's why he went to sleep. Never mind. A transport pod crash. A hunter named Ari is crashing nearby. They will be unable to walk, but she will recover, suffering from paralytic aphasia. Well, we're going to accept this. Not for the colonist, but for other reasons. I'm sure we don't need to say what they are. Oh, looks like we have some good cold gear here. Oh, only -19, maybe not. but we'll strip the clothing anyway, have it for ourselves. Then we shall leave Ari to the elements with our best regards. And then once the cold takes Ari, we shall haul her back and, yes, make use of her corpse for food before anybody's mind goes somewhere where it really shouldn't. Okay, back to sleep now, Cobra. We did have to disturb you again. Ari is suffering from hypothermia. Can't say I'm very surprised by that. It's rising very quickly. We're not going to make any effort to rescue Ari. There we go. Ari has sadly, shall we say, passed away. So once Cobra has woken up in the morning, after a bit of breakfast, we shall butcher the corpse, and that's going to help us keep our stockpiles boosted nicely. Well, that's very nice. Swapping out the human leather poncho for this, what is it, light leather? Yes, light leather pelt mantle has boosted our minimum comfortable temperature to -41. At this point now we can continue to hold the door open. So that's great. We'll allow access to the corpse and then prioritise the butchering. And I think once this little piece of work, quote unquote, has been completed, we shall bring an end to this episode. So today we've made a few small steps towards increasing our survivability, primarily through improving our cold resistance with some new items of clothing. Our food stockpiles are looking pretty good, but as we know, we have access to the jelly anyway, so that's not really a burning issue. We've advanced our intellectual skill somewhat. We've also unlocked our first piece of tech, which was basic furniture. And we've also gone ahead and started some crafting work in our little base here with a few small sculptures, which are helping to keep our mood lifted as much as we can while we're in our little base. So as Cobra heads off to sleep, we'll say our farewells for now. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and you are continuing to enjoy this series overall. If you have enjoyed the episode, please leave a like down below. All these little interactions, whether it be a like or a comment, do help when it comes to YouTube's algorithms and whatnot. So if you want to get the word out there, so to speak, and help support the channel and the content, then that's one of the simplest things you can do. And it is also greatly appreciated as well, as it's a good measure for me to determine which videos people are enjoying and which I should be focusing on going forward. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, again, consider doing that, because that also helps. And again, it's something takes just one click of a button, and again, it means it's a nice gesture. It means a lot to me, and again, it gives me that inspiration, so to speak, to continue making more videos as well. Not that I need the inspiration, but it's always nice. So all that remains for me to say is, as always, that ladies and gentlemen, you take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.